The billionaire's daughter saw the poor janitor crying. What she did next shocked everyone. When the billionaire's daughter walked in and saw the poor janitor crying, nobody expected what she did next. But that single moment changed everything. Every eye turned toward the tall glass window, where a man in a faded gray uniform stood alone, his hands covering his face. He was crying. The cleaning mop leaned against the wall beside him, a half-spilled bucket of water at his feet. And right there, standing just a few steps away, was a young woman in a white designer suit, her golden ID badge shining in the sunlight. Her name was Rachel Brooks, the only daughter of billionaire William Brooks, owner of the massive building everyone worked in. But in that moment, Rachel wasn't a boss's daughter. She was just someone frozen by what she saw. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked softly. The janitor turned, startled, quickly wiping his face. His eyes were red. "I'm fine, ma'am," he said, his voice breaking. "Just allergies." Rachel frowned. "Allergies don't make you cry like that." Before he could answer, the elevator dinged again, and 3 executives stepped out, whispering loudly. "That's the janitor who broke the conference tablet," one of them said. "He's getting fired today." Rachel's heart skipped. She looked at the man again. His name tag read Tom Reynolds, and saw the fear behind his tired eyes. What she didn't know was that Tom's whole life was hanging by a thread that morning. Tom had started his shift at 6 a.m., like he always did. The building was quiet, except for the humming of cleaning machines and the occasional echo of his mop bucket wheels. He'd been working there for 7 years, quietly, politely, never late. People barely noticed him. He didn't mind. He had only one goal: to save enough money for his daughter's hospital treatment. But last night, something went wrong. While cleaning the top-floor boardroom, Tom accidentally knocked over a tablet left on the edge of the conference table. The screen cracked. He'd picked it up, panicked, and placed it back, hoping no one would notice. This morning, they noticed. At 9 a.m., Tom was called to the manager's office. "Tom," the supervisor said coldly, "that tablet you damaged costs more than 2 months of your salary. Mr. Brooks is furious." Tom tried to explain, but his words tangled with fear. "It was an accident, sir. I'll pay it back. Just give me time." "Time?" the manager snapped. "You've already had enough. Pack your things." Tom left quietly, his uniform still on, his pride shattered. He didn't even tell anyone. He just went back to the hallway, the same one where Rachel would later find him crying. He wasn't crying for losing the job. He was crying because his daughter's next surgery was in 2 weeks, and he had no way to pay for it now. Rachel stepped closer, ignoring the executives watching. "Why are you crying?" she asked again, more firmly this time. Tom hesitated. His voice was barely a whisper. "My little girl, she's sick. I was saving every dollar. Now I just lost my job." Rachel froze. Something inside her chest tightened. She'd grown up surrounded by money, people in suits, fancy cars, expensive parties, but she couldn't remember the last time anyone had cried in this building. No one ever cried in a billionaire's office. Her hand trembled slightly. "Who fired you?" Before Tom could answer, a deep voice echoed down the hallway. "Rachel, step away from him." Everyone turned. It was William Brooks, her father. His expression was cold, his tone sharp. "That man broke company property. He's finished here." Tom lowered his head. "I understand, sir." Rachel looked between them, her father's anger and the janitor's quiet pain. Something about the scene didn't sit right with her. "Dad," she said carefully, "maybe we should—" "Rachel," her father cut her off. "This is not your concern. Go to your meeting." The executives exchanged glances. The janitor looked like he wanted to disappear. Rachel's jaw tightened. For the first time in her life, she didn't move when her father told her to. Rachel stepped forward, right between her father and the janitor. "I think it is my concern," she said quietly, "because this man worked here longer than I've even had a job. He deserves to be heard." The hallway went still. Her father stared at her. "Rachel, This isn't charity. This is business. And business doesn't mean losing our humanity, she replied, her voice shaking but firm. Tom's eyes widened. He'd never seen anyone talk to the boss like that, not even the senior managers. The air was thick. Everyone waited for what would happen next. William Brooks took a slow step forward, his face unreadable. "You want to defend him?" he asked. "Fine. Then you handle the consequences." Rachel blinked. "What do you mean?" Her father pointed to Tom. "If you believe he deserves a second chance, you'll take responsibility for him. His mistakes, his debt, everything." The room gasped. Tom tried to protest, but Rachel's father raised his hand. "Either you let me fire him now, or you stand by him and risk your own position in this company." Rachel looked at Tom, then at her father. Her heart pounded. Everyone waited. Would the billionaire's daughter really risk her status for a crying janitor she just met? Her lips parted. And then, the hallway was silent. Even the ticking of the big wall clock sounded loud. Rachel stood between her father and the janitor, her heart beating so fast she could hear it. Everyone waited for her to speak. Then, in a calm but steady voice, she said, "I'll take responsibility for him." Gasps echoed across the corridor. William Brooks narrowed his eyes. "You're serious?" Rachel nodded. "Yes. If he fails, it's on me." Her father crossed his arms. "Fine, then let's see what your kindness costs." He turned and walked away, leaving the staff whispering behind him. Tom looked at her, stunned. "Miss Brooks, you didn't have to do that." Rachel smiled softly. "Maybe I didn't, but I wanted to. They're seeing, with discount, in prices." By noon, word had spread through the building that the boss's daughter had saved the janitor. Some laughed, calling it another rich girl charity stunt. Others whispered that Rachel had lost her mind. But she didn't care. She found Tom sitting quietly in the break room, his lunch untouched. "Come with me," she said. She led him upstairs to the very same boardroom where he'd been fired that morning. On the table was the cracked tablet. Rachel picked it up. "Was this what got you in trouble?" Tom nodded, ashamed. "I was just cleaning. I didn't see it there." She studied the tablet, then smiled. "You know what's funny? This thing isn't even broken. The screen protector cracked, not the glass." Tom blinked. "Wait. Really?" She peeled off the thin layer to show a perfect screen underneath. Tom covered his face, tears filling his eyes again, but this time they weren't from pain. I can't believe this." Rachel laughed gently. "Believe it. Now you still have your job and maybe your faith in people too." As she turned to leave, Tom said quietly, "Miss Brooks, may I tell you something?" Rachel nodded. He took a deep breath. "I never told anyone why I work so many extra hours. My daughter, Emma, she's only 9. She has a heart condition. The surgery costs more than I'll ever make." Rachel's smile faded. "A heart condition?" Tom nodded, pulling a small folded photo from his pocket. It showed a little girl in a hospital bed, smiling weakly, holding a teddy bear. Rachel felt her throat tighten. She looks so brave. "She is," Tom whispered, "but I've been behind on payments. I thought losing this job meant losing her chance." Rachel looked down at the photo, then at Tom's trembling hands. Her heart ached, not out of pity, but understanding. She suddenly remembered something her late mother used to say. "Kindness is the only investment that never loses value." That evening, Rachel went home and sat quietly at the dinner table with her father. He didn't look up from his tablet. "So, did your little rescue make you feel better?" Rachel set an envelope on the table. "It made me understand something you forgot, Dad." William raised an eyebrow. "And what's that?" "That money builds walls. Kindness builds bridges." He frowned, then glanced at the envelope. "What's this?" Rachel pushed it toward him. "The company's charity fund doubled. I want it to cover medical bills for employees' families, starting with Tom Reynolds' daughter." Her father's eyes softened. just for a second. Rachel. She stood up. You built an empire, Dad. Let me help you build a heart around it. Then she walked away, leaving him staring at the envelope in silence. Few days later, Tom arrived at the hospital early in the morning. When he reached the billing desk, the nurse handed him a form and said with a smile, "All expenses paid. Anonymous sponsor." Tom blinked in disbelief. Who did this?" The nurse shrugged. "They didn't say, 'only left this note.'" He opened it slowly. Inside, in neat handwriting, were the words, "A second chance isn't a gift, it's a seed. Plant it by helping someone else one day. R.B." Tom looked toward the window. Outside, he saw Rachel standing near her car, waving once before driving away. He couldn't speak. He just pressed the note to his chest and whispered, "Thank you." Weeks later, Tom's daughter Emma woke from her successful surgery. The doctors said she'd make a full recovery. When Rachel visited, Emma reached out a tiny hand and said, "Are you the angel Daddy told me about?" Rachel smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "No, sweetie, just someone who finally learned what being rich really means." Morals of this story: true wealth isn't in your bank account. It's in the hearts you lift when you decide to care. If this story touched your heart, like, comment, and share and subscribe for more real-life stories.